Hi, I'm Michael Killen. Shortly, the most important event is about to occur that has a mission of significantly increasing the knowledge base of people who are trying to do something to slow and minimize the threat of climate change. It is California's Climate Action Summit, and it will be held in two places, primarily Moscone in San Francisco, and hundreds, who knows, thousands of different places around the United States, around the world. I have invited two women that work for an organization that is hosting an event in San Francisco and at LinkedIn. I've invited them on the show because I want to get a better understanding of the particular event they are putting on. My guests are Julie Noblitt and Nicole Angiel. And I would like to start off by asking you, what is your title again?
I'm the Energy and Climate Program Director at Actera.
And Nicole?
And I'm Director of Business Partnerships for Sustainability at Actera.
Can I just have a little bit of information about what that job is about, just a bit?
Yeah, so I work with businesses in the Bay Area to promote and encourage sustainability in their business practices.
Okay. Can I ask you something about what do you do?
Well, in the Energy and Climate Program, we have three main goals. We're trying to bring people together to take steps to create a healthy planet, specifically to make it faster, easier, cheaper to lower our greenhouse gas emissions.
Okay. So I think I understand you're involved in different projects, and it's to help organizations find easy ways to reduce their emissions and maybe reduce their energy costs. All right, I want to say thank you. I'm glad to meet both of you. And now you answered from the point of view of your group, but what is the three most important goals or missions of Actera?
Well, the most important mission and the reason Actera was established back in 1970 was to really bring people together to create a healthy planet. And today that really means mitigating the effects of climate change and getting us all to reduce our carbon emissions at home, at work, and in between. So our main programs really are the Go EV program, which encourages people to get out of their gasoline-powered cars and into electric cars or other forms of transportation.
So it's Go Easy 1. Is that one of them?
Yes.
Can I have the second one now?
The second one is to encourage people to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions at home through energy savings.
So cars, home.
That's right. And Nicole will talk about reducing carbon emissions at work. But one other important aspect of our program is our climate justice program, climate resilient communities.
So climate justice interests me. Everything interests me. But tell me just a little bit about what you try to do with climate justice.
Sure. We have a climate resilient communities program where we do a lot of work trying to make clean energy available to everybody, no matter their income level. So we've partnered with Grid Alternatives to help get solar panels for free on low-income houses, for example.
Okay, now if I back up and catch me if I'm, one aspect is to help people, maybe people who are a bit marginalized, okay, get energy in a way not only that it's less expensive for them, but that reduces their emissions. And then Nicole runs a project helping industry. Would I say industry?
Businesses, yeah, some industry and different types of business.
So businesses find ways to reduce their emissions and their energy, right? And then it was transportation.
Yes.
Did I leave any out?
Yeah, it's home, transportation, and business. Those are the three main.
Okay, and home, you still have that program where if I call you and I ask for volunteers to come to my house and do an audit, they'll come and give me suggestions on how to reduce my cost of energy and my usage of it. Would that be correct?
That is correct. You're talking about our Green at Home program, and that's exactly what we do. We give people easy ways to reduce their energy waste and hopefully save money on their energy bill.
Okay, for Nicole, if people want to go and get more information about you folks, what's the website of Acterra?
Acterra.org, ACTERRA.org.
Okay. Now, I have discovered that your organization is part of California's Climate Action Summit, and you are putting on an event, I think it's at LinkedIn.
Yes.
Which one are you in charge pretty much of that event?
That would be me.
Well, before I ask you about the event, how did you get together with LinkedIn?
Well, we've been working with LinkedIn for many, many years, and our relationship has really grown over the years. We have a number of people that we work closely with, and one of the elements that they've been most involved with is our Green Team Network, where we get businesses together who are, doing kind of grassroots level efforts to bring volunteers from their company together and create sustainable initiatives from the ground up.
Would I interpret that like LinkedIn is one of dozens or whatever of companies that you are working with, okay?
Correct.
They're not a leader of pulling other companies together to help them find ways to reduce their energy costs and emissions.
Well, actually, LinkedIn is a leader. In just this last round of Acterra's Business Environmental Awards program, LinkedIn received an award for their sustainable building project in Sunnyvale, which is a really exemplary project that's leading the way in green building design.
So but are they helping you reach out to other companies?
Definitely. I mean, that's part of what LinkedIn does through their network is linking individuals at different companies and creating opportunities for them to interact.
Is this the LinkedIn for Good group? LinkedIn for Good.
LinkedIn for Good is a separate element. So we actually work with the sustainability and the green team of LinkedIn.
Okay, now you folks are into food preparation, is that right?
That's what our event is about, yes. It's all about food service.
How about, would you give me a sentence or two to help us understand what the particular event is? What's the title?
Yeah, it's called Climate Friendly Cuisine. And what we're doing is bringing together food service professionals from everywhere in the Bay Area to learn about three main things: food waste, which is a huge impact. We're also looking at sustainable sourcing, so where they purchase their ingredients and making them the most sustainable they can. And then a climate-friendly diet, so looking at a plant-forward diet and moving meat and dairy to the side of the plate and putting plants at the center of the plate.
Interesting. Can we go back to the first one? The first one was sourcing.
Sourcing, yes.
Sourcing, and so your event is trying to increase awareness within the food service industry that there's things they can learn about more effectively sourcing the foods and supplies they need.
Right.
Am I correct? The second one had to do with food waste.
Yes.
How do you help them there? And I do know you work for a couple of government agencies, I think, on waste management, or at least one. What would they learn about reducing the amount of waste that's heading off either to the landfills or to the furnaces.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to food waste, and prevention is the most important. So looking at purchasing the right quantities, purchasing in a sustainable way, so you're not having waste from the beginning, purchasing what you need. Then you're looking at food preparation and using every aspect of the food that you can. If you've got vegetable trimmings, you make vegetable stock. There's a lot of creative ways that you can minimize waste just from the get-go. And then looking at things like portion size. Do you need to have these enormous portions that end up, not being finished? Offering people different choices to minimize that waste up front. And, looking at what waste could be eliminated from the get-go. And then when you do have the waste, then, offering ways for people to take that home, to finish it later. If the food has not been served, that can be donated to people in need. And there are many hungry people and a lot of food waste happening.
So, Michael, if I can add a little context
Sure. I'd like you to.
Is that you may know that we collectively waste about 40% of food in this country, and that represents not only a shame, but it's a huge waste of resources. The water and the labor and the carbon that it takes to produce all that food just goes to waste. And in his recent book, Paul Hawken mentioned that the book Drawdown. Food waste is one of the top three things. Reducing food waste is one of the top three things we can do to reduce our collective emissions.
You make me think about this. Everybody has to eat.
Yes.
And so we're going through an awful lot of food.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Drawdown is a very good book.
Yeah.
Often, sometimes in some of my interviews, I'm not born with knowledge of all these different topics. I sometimes grab his book and I read his small chapters, and it helps bring me up to speed. Yeah. Now, was the third way your conference on September the 7th?
11th.
The 11th, that's a Friday. No,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, and that's at LinkedIn. I think the third topic you brought up is sharing knowledge with the food providers of best practices for the how they present the food, and maybe minimize the meats, the almonds, and the things that take a lot of water, a lot of energy to produce. Mm-hmm. But you, am I right? And
yes.
But more important, would you elaborate on it?
Yeah, so there are just different ways to adapt menus, and it doesn't mean that you have to only offer vegan or vegetarian choices. There are ways to offer very meaty burgers that are blends of meat and mushroom, for example, or meat and other vegetables or grains, to kind of give people the satisfaction of their meat demand, but putting it in a healthier way for their body and for the planet.
Okay, we don't have much time left, but am I correct if I walk into LinkedIn on that Tuesday, the 7th, which is one day before the massive California Climate Action Plan starts, I will find in the lobby exhibitors?
Yes.
And sharing services they provide.
Exactly. It's Tuesday, September 11th from 4 to 6 p.m. It's open to the public, and there will be many different exhibitors.
And are there lectures, and do you have to pay to get into the lectures?
There is a registration fee, and you do need to pre-register if you want to attend the conference portion with the speakers.
All right. What's the URL for registering?
You can just go to actera.org/climate-friendly-cuisine.
Ladies, have we done it?
I think we have.
All right. So I want to thank you very much. And
You're welcome. It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Hi. My guests were Julie Noblitt, go ahead, and Nicole Angiel. And again, I'm Michael Killen, and I've invited another gentleman to come on this show named Jeb Eddy. He is an environmental activist, and he is very helpful to the work I do. And he is going to ask me questions. We're going to discuss two upcoming events, both in a way related to California's Climate Action Summit. Jeb Eddy,
My friend,
how are you?
pretty well. Pleased to be part of this Bay Area and national and international series of events that are happening starting next week.
Now, Actera, a firm that I know organization you know a lot about, as you know, is putting on an event in the morning of
I'm going to go
Tuesday,
the 11th.
the 11th. And when people finish going there, if they come back down to the Palo Alto, Menlo Park, Redwood City area, I have an event.
Let me see. Tell me about it.
As you know, for the last year, I have been painting California's climate plan. And in a gallery called Art Ventures in Menlo Park, downtown Menlo Park, on that evening, there will be an event that starts at 6:30 where one of my paintings, which is Safeguard California, and that's goal number 6, will be on display. There'll be wine and cookies and whatever. I'll probably give a little speech, but my painting will be there, and people will be coming, and I will be sharing what motivated me to make the painting, Safeguard California, which I think Safeguard California is the most important goal because it's the bottom line. What we all desire is to have everything we value safe and protected.
And how to express some of those ideas in the colorful, symbolic manner that you do is a continuing central part of your life, I am very glad to say. And it just so happens that I brought with me a version of the painting that you're talking about that is already a bit out of date, because my experience with you continue to get ideas. You continue to refine particular pieces of an individual painting. So would now be an okay time to try to show this?
So this is an early draft of Safeguard California. The painting, the final version that goes out at this event, is 20 feet long, 6 feet high. And
what are a couple of the things, since I can't see it from where I'm sitting, what are a couple of things that you'd care to tell us about?
Well, first of all, it's based on 4 fundamental ideas, or I like to think of them as principles for how to act in the environment we live in and where it's going. And that is the principle of adaptation. So this painting, in part, is inspired by my desire to bring to the attention the need for all of us to think about our actions in terms of being able to adapt. And on the far right over there, there are 2 poles, and on the first version, those poles symbolize being able to roll with the punches. We need to adapt. And this major infinity sign, which is yellow, is symbolic of the thought of sustainability, okay? And so we have adaptation, sustainability, and the third fundamental principle that we all should think about when we look at our situation and decide on what actions we execute is resilience. We need to build resilience everywhere, and resilience is to spring back from the hits. And then the fourth one is mitigation. And I interpret mitigation as reducing the threat that might be coming at us. And to reduce the threat, you sort of got to step out and go at it. And what we have here is a man on a horse, and that man is the greatest character in the history of literature, Don Quixote. And you know the Don Quixote story.
He rode a horse and tried to chase windmills with his spear.
Yes, but he was like you, an old, broken down man who one day woke up and decided to go out and fight the great wrongs of his time, to go out and fight the great giants of his time. And an expression that is carried on over the ages is tilting at windmills. He was out with his sidekick, and he saw windmills on a mountain. And he saw their arms, you know, thought they were arms, and he decided they were giants. And he decided to go out and fight them. So I put a windmill in here, and on the blades and coming out the bottom are things that are threatening, like a muffler that's spewing out emissions, a tree that's burning, symbolic of the forest fires of California that are sending out greenhouse gases, and a building and some gas jets that are burning and also sending out emissions. So that is...
How big is the original? I'm holding a little version of it. What is the real dimensions of this thing, Michael?
20 feet.
20 feet wide. My arms aren't that long. I can't do that.
Oh, no.
Never mind.
6 feet high, and it's going to
That
be
I
a
can do.
while before I take on another 20-footer, because they are very, very difficult. There is another aspect of this painting, and you know, when I make one of these paintings, I am thinking about performing, thinking about standing in front of a large group of people and giving a speech, you know, a little bit like I'm doing now, explaining what I try to say or paint and how it is valuable to people. So I know there'll be people in the audience who will say, well, it's nice that you say California's climate plan is the most important climate plan in the United States. It's a good plan, but on the other hand, the weight of this great state, the fifth largest economy, makes sure it is the most important, you know. And then I have 3 gold bars on the right. And those gold bars are there so I can say, and ladies and gentlemen, the plan will be successful because we got the money. And then there's a heart. It'll also be successful because there's a lot of people in this state that have a heart, are concerned with justice of all the people in this state. And then there is a brain. And if this state has anything, it's got a lot of brain power. And so the finished 20-foot painting will be displayed at a gallery called Art Ventures in Menlo Park on Tuesday, the 11th, and there's a reception at 6:30 to 8:30. And
I'm going to be there too, but I'm not going to hold this little version of it. Are you going to have the original?
Yes.
You're going to have the 20-foot?
Yes, the gallery owner, a lovely woman named Katrina Power, will send a truck over, pick up the whole thing the day before, install it nicely.
But there's also been some change in the symbolism and some change in, because this version is a few months old, right?
Oh yes, the symbolism is massively changed. I mean, this spring goes all the way up here. Instead of those poles, I got a huge tire that you can see through the infinity sign. The windmill, I have spent a week enriching the quality of the windmill and changing an awful lot of other things. And I've strengthened the lance, the lance that he uses. He would use a wooden and metal lance. Today, he would be throwing out bolts of electricity, because electrification of everything possible is one of the ways to help all of us reduce the use of fossil-based energy and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
My wife and I drive an electric car, and I ride one of the fastest electric bicycles in the city of Palo Alto. I'll give them a plug. It's a great way to get around. And the continuing evolution of telling the stories in these paintings is part of why I enjoy being a bit of a part of Michael's world.
Oh, thank you. And that one behind us is another print, and that one is sustainability. And I made that for NASA at their request. And then also I moved on to Resilience of America, another 24-foot painting, and just one right after another. And so I hope I see you on Tuesday, the 11th, 6:30, Art
Ventures on
and
Santa Cruz Avenue?
on Santa Cruz Avenue.
In Menlo Park.
And they have a website, and I think the folks who are managing and producing the show would be kind to put up that website.
Look forward to being there.
And I have only really one more of these big paint goals to paint, and I'm teamed up with Stanford to make it. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest has been Jeb Eddy. He's an environmental activist. I am Michael Killen. Thank you very much.
Smooth as could be. No glitches. Now, did you bring a hard drive?